Fantasy Football League weekly recap. I think we're doing week 7, so I think this is episode 8. Yeah, so let's get to it. Let me switch this up. Okay, so let's start off with the first game of the week, which is Gary versus Mike. Mike actually had a really good game. Tannehill did good, Brown did pretty good, Patterson did pretty good, Gesicki did really good. Pretty average game from, well, not as such a good game from Williams. And strong defense. The only thing is Gary had a really, really good week. Stafford showing out with 30 points, Jamar Chase with 30 points, McLaurin with 21, Jacobs 14. All able to withstand the bad performances from A.J. Howard, who had 1.4, and a really strong Tampa Bay 31-point defense. So, and then there's not much you can do. This week was the week, I don't know, someone said it's Bye-Mageddon because of all the bye weeks. This is the first big bye week. And so this is where you earn the wins by seeing what moves you can do and how you can withstand it. In this case, you both were able to play both your best, put your best foot forward. Gary probably could have added an extra 1 point. No, he couldn't because that was a tight end. So he played his best. You both played your best games. It's just Gary had better scores. The next matchup is Brad versus Darren. Brad has a really, really strong team, and it shows. Based on Darren's original projections, he was like the highest projected of the week, so it kind of goes to show that projections don't really mean anything, especially when guys like Ayuk and Jones and Butker don't do what you were expecting from them. Really big game from Alvin Kamara, but not enough. He was going to have him score like way more, but not enough to catch him. And what hurts is for Brad, Peoples-Jones didn't even play. Like just the last minute benching. And then not much you guys can do with the bench. Looks like you put Edwards-Helaire in the IR and you have Carson on the IR. Looks like he's free though. So in this case, what's going to happen, Brad, is if he wants to make roster moves, he's going to have to take Carson off of the IR. So just bear that in mind. You're going to have to dump somebody on your bench to move Carson out of the IR back onto the bench or into the starting role before you can even move anybody. Okay, the next matchup is the closest matchup of the entire season, which was Richie versus Morgan. Richie edged him out by a grand total of 0.64, less than a point. And it went down to the wire, and this happened on Monday Night Football between the Seattle game and San Fran, which was super ugly because it was raining hard and it wasn't easy to play. They were lofting the ball for interceptions. Let's see. Morgan, you finally got the right quarterback. Hopefully Tagovailoa can keep that high scoring going up. And that was probably your biggest missing pieces. But a lot of bad scores from like Sanders, who got hurt. Tyler Lockett. The Seattle skill position players are going to be kind of tough because of without Russell Wilson there. What's his name? Geno Smith isn't really cutting it, but maybe they can turn it around. Richie was able to do it without running back play from Stevenson, and there's not much else he could have done. A bunch of zeros again, nothing but bye weeks, which was really going to test everybody's skills. The next matchup, Mike edged Eric. Eric had a really bad game. And nothing he could do because his bench had nothing because they were either injured on IR or... Actually, let me correct that because it doesn't tell me if their status, yeah? Let me go back and maybe have to check myself for Brad. Oh, Carson is still on IR, so never mind. Completely disregard what I said, Brad, but as soon as he comes off of IR... or anybody, as soon as your guys come off IR, the roster locks until you move them. Okay, now that I cleared that up, it just didn't give me the updates on the actual on the stat tracker. It didn't show, so I just assumed he was healthy. Yeah, so for Eric, really bad games across the board. Tyreek Hill didn't do good just because, as a whole, Kansas City stunk it up. Aaron Jones didn't do good. Mark Ingram didn't do good. Fant didn't do good. Just really bad scores. This might be the lowest score of the season for Eric. And then Mike didn't have good scores from Davis, 1.4. And everyone else is pretty good or average, but enough to edge out Eric. And then the next matchup, this was a tough one. This could have been a really close game, and it might have been a close game because of DK Metcalf. Like right away, like some 76-yard touchdown pass right away. I was like, oh, maybe Aaron has a chance. But again, Geno Smith is not doing them any favors, and it was raining like crazy, so it was really, really tough to get offense going that day. So it wasn't enough to catch James, who also had Myers kicking for him, which didn't help Aaron. And he was also able to get by without a tight end. So that's an interesting strategy. It's kind of like Eric's strategy last year with the kickers. And it's true. The tight ends have been really, really stinking it up. And you may value a bench spot on another position player over a tight end. So that may be something to think about. You left a lot of points on the bench with Pittman, who had a really, really good game. I thought it was San Fran versus Indiana. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up the games. And Seattle versus the Saints. That's what the matchups were. I'm mixing up Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, I think. Yeah. So, Harris showed out. That's pretty good. If he can be a feature back for James, that's huge. Usually they like to running back by committee. Renfro, average. Myers, average. And then the defense is kind of average for both of you. Mike Evans did good for Aaron. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad game. It wasn't the worst game. We would have beaten some others, but again, in the case of Aaron, it's just some matchup issues. Then it was me versus Jeremy. And early on, I really thought that Jeremy had this in the bag just because of Kansas City, very first game on Sunday morning, stinking it up, just getting destroyed by Tennessee. So for me, Mahomes only getting 12 points and Kelsey getting 10 points, even though we expect more from them, I was like, this is a prime opportunity for Jeremy to steal one from me. And especially when Burrow goes for 30 points. But he didn't help. He didn't get help from guys like Boyd, Higbee, Hardman. And the defense was pretty pedestrian. And I had really big games from Kupp, Swift, and yeah, basically Kupp and Swift. And then pretty good contributions from guys that are on my bench, like Carter and even Bateman, kind of gambles. And then I had left some points on the bench with Gainwell, but it was enough at least for me to get the win. So there's your weekly recap. As far as the standings go, let's change the looks because now we're going to start to think about playoffs. Okay, so let's look at the standings really quick. Number one is me. Eric and Brad have a 5-2 record. There's a lot in the middle here with James, Jeremy, Mike B, Richie, Gary, all with a 4-3, 3-4 record. So very close to 500, just slightly above or below. And then on the outside looking in is Mike L, Darren, Morgan, and then Aaron. So there's a log jam here in the middle. Again, there's 6 slots for the playoffs. So these guys at the end have to kind of make a run soon. And then again, you're gonna be tested based on the fact that there's gonna be bye weeks now. So you're gonna have to make some sacrifices. Either hold people out, or maybe you value the bench guys on your bench more. All right, so let's go look at the waiver wire really quick. again, I do the waiver. Morgan was telling me he doesn't know why I do the waiver wire, but I do it, and it's not any surprise, right? Because what I show you is what's available to everybody anyway. So if you're looking here, all I do is I go by position, and I go by season average. Usually I think that's the best metric to be able to evaluate the players, like what they've been able to do over the course of several games. So you have Sanders, Corey Davis, Ruggs, Harris, Chark, Dante Pettis, and AJ Green all averaging 10. Green actually might not be a bad player. He's been a lot more consistent actually than some of the other Arizona receivers. Let's look at the running backs. Kenyon Drake, he's getting dropped and picked up and dropped and picked up. He has a bye week, so he's down. So someone might want to stash him for the following week. Other than that, the rest is kind of sketchy and iffy. Tight ends seem like they're the new kickers this year. They may not be valuable to have. The best is Dawson Knox, who is doubtful, and he just completed a bye. Maybe he'll be healthy. Kickers: Randy Bullock, Greg Joseph, Zerline, Blankenship, Selbert, Dustin Hopkins, and Chris Boswell are all 10-point averagers. And then defense, it doesn't make sense to really look at it from an average point of view because of how up and down everybody is. It's just maybe the best way to look at how to choose a defense is based on their matchup. Like, for example, Minnesota is going to go against Dallas, so even though they've been pretty consistent and they have had a bye, Dallas has a really good offense, so maybe play the matchup instead. So that's something to consider. Also, they have this other thing, right, where there's a way to like look at the against. I don't know if you guys look at this metric. Here, let's look at Chicago. And then San Francisco has given up the 9th fewest fantasy points to defenses this season. So this actual blurb here will show you fantasy points against. So it's an interesting metric to actually look at the matchup that they're going against. So then maybe that's something to consider. All right. So there's the waiver wire. Let's look at the last thing, league pick'em. I'm taking the lead against Eric. Eric didn't play last week, and I did. So we're just taking turns. I chose myself to win, and I won. I was rooting for Aaron to win, and I lost. I guessed Mike would beat Eric, and that came true. I guessed Morgan would beat Richie, but that was a coin toss. I guessed that Brad was gonna beat Darren, and that came true. I guessed Mike would beat Gary, and that was false. So I was 3 for 3 last week. Anyway, there's your weekly recap. So, see you later. Bye.